Just tell me if there's anything. You don't need to keep hesitating. We're going to stay in Dragon Fountain Villa for one night. Tomorrow, we're going to erect a monument for the Black Dragon in the suburbs to send him off on his final journey. PFFT. James was drinking water. Upon hearing this, he spat out the water and burst out laughing. Erect a monument for the Black Dragon. Who came up with the crazy idea? Q. Quincy. Thea was slightly awkward because she was afraid James would be angry. It's because the Black Dragon was Quincy's boyfriend 10 years ago, she hurriedly explained. James touched his chin. They want to erect a monument for me. I'm not dead yet, though, thought James. However, he let it slide. Alright, go ahead. I want to bring you with me. Sure, James agreed. Thea was eye-catching, and it would not be safe for her to go out alone. He was uneasy, so it would be best for him to accompany her. The two had lunch at home and headed out after a short rest. James drove David's $200,000 Volkswagen because the court seized their Maserati and limited edition Fira to be auctioned. After getting in the car, Thea called Quincy to inform her that she was on the way. Meanwhile, Quincy, the organizer of the gathering, had already headed to the Dragon Fountain Villa after meeting Thea in the afternoon. Ads by Pub Future. On the way to Dragon Fountain Villa, Thea said, apart from our classmate who will be coming tonight, James' class will also be attending. 10 years ago, I was in the second class whereas James was in the first class. Thea blabbered endlessly about things that happened 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Quincy was the school belle, and James was the most attractive guy in school. What's so funny? I'm not talking about you. I mean Majestic Corporation's James. The Black Dragon, James. I'm not laughing. You continue. James suppressed his laughter. Thea continued. That girl, Quincy, didn't even tell me she had dated James. She only told me after coming back to Kensington recently. Otherwise, I would have never known that Quincy's boyfriend was the Black Dragon. He was the person that was secretly helping me. Thea peeked at James. You've always known that the Black Dragon was the one helping me in secret, right? James touched his nose and did not deny it. Previously, when Trent captured me, the Black Dragon informed you after he rescued me, right? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Thea complained. James smiled but remained silent. By the way, you were once a general in the Southern Plains and the Black Dragon's comrade, right? Can you tell me about him? James was troubled. What should I say about myself? Thought James. What do you want to know about him? Thea thought about it for a while and replied, the rumors are that his strength and medical skills were unmatched by anyone in this world. Maybe you could tell me about these two topics. Regarding these, James also had nothing much to say. However, he had to say something since Thea was curious. Outsiders only know that he had unparalleled skills but aren't aware of how much he had suffered to acquire them. Do you know that while other soldiers were resting, he was running in the mountains and wilderness with 100 pounds of weight? The daily training for Black Dragon Army soldiers was 5 hours long, but the Black Dragon trained for 15 hours. He carried the burden of wanting revenge. He felt guilty for disregarding the safety of the girl who pulled him out of the fire and abandoning her, jumping into the river alone. For 10 years, he had blamed himself and wanted to make up for it. Thea knew the girl James was talking about was herself. She did not expect the Black Dragon to have so many stories. James continued. The Black Dragon fought on the battlefield so that he could return triumphantly. Only then would he be able to take revenge and repay the girl that saved him. James felt his nose get stuffy as the urge to cry surged while he looked back on his past. Thea was puzzled. You were the Black Dragon's subordinate, and he told you everything about himself. Why was he not the one who married me, but you instead? After finishing her sentence, Thea immediately regretted it and hurriedly explained, Honey, I've no other intentions. It's just a random question. Don't take it to heart. It was a coincidence that I married you. I was demoted and returned to Kensington. I learned that the Callahans were looking for a live-in son-in-law and discovered you were the girl the commander mentioned. The commander treated me well, and he had always wanted to make up for your saving grace. I didn't have the heart to see you getting bullied by others. So, you married into the Callahans and worked hard, enduring all the unfair treatment to repay the Black Dragon's kindness. Thea realized the reason the Black Dragon did not insist she marry him. It was because her husband was his previous subordinate. Thus, he did not want to forcefully break up their marriage. James smiled and said nothing. He let her think whatever she wanted. After the current troubles were resolved and Saul was peaceful again, he would come clean with everything. When the time came that he truly retired from the scene, he would organize a grand wedding with Thea. Dragon Fountain Villa was a famous leisure villa in Kensington. It was located on Mount Dragon Fountain in Kensington. On this mountain was a natural hot spring, a popular spot for the rich. Quincy spent millions to book out the entire venue to organize this party. She paid a lot to invite the most sought-after celebrity, Kian, to perform at the party. After hearing that the party included free food, accommodation, and the luxury of listening to a top celebrity sing, the former students of Class 2 enthusiastically showed up. Those less well-off came to leech off food and drinks. Those doing well wanted to take the opportunity to show off their success and wealth to their former classmate. The classmate of the first class attended after learning that they were going to erect a monument for the Black Dragon, James, who was in their class. James and Thea departed relatively late. By the time they arrived at Dragon Fountain Villa, it was already 4 in the afternoon. Many people were gathered outside Dragon Fountain Villa. These were all former classmates that showed up early. The people were divided into 2 groups. One group was the first class, and the other was the second class. Although both classes had interactions back in the day, they barely knew each other 10 years later and only remembered those from their respective classes. Plus, each class had its respective annual reunion party, so they were still familiar with their own classes. Someone else is here. Who is it? Wow, it's a Lamborghini worth more than $5 million. This is the most luxurious car that has appeared so far, right? Who is it? Is it someone from the first class or our class? The 2 groups stood outside the villa and started to discuss the car approaching from the distance. The Lamborghini drove near and parked in the parking space at the entrance. A handsome man who looked about 27 or 28 years old and dressed in an expensive suit got out of the car. Isn't that Channing Wagner from our class? Yeah, it's Channing. He was with us in the second class. I heard he established his own company and earns about hundreds of millions annually. The people of the second class excitedly approached and greeted Channing with a smile. Meanwhile, those from the first class were disappointed. There were many people, but all the wealthy were from the second class. The best car driven by the first class was only about $200,000. The whole car was worth only a tire of the other luxurious cars from the second class. The people from the second class glanced at the 20 or so people from the first class with disdain. The people of the first class don't seem to be doing so well, someone from the crowd mocked. Yeah, they're all so poor. I wonder why Quincy invited the first class. Those from the first class wanted to refute but did not have the confidence to do so. Suddenly, a man in his 30s dressed in ordinary clothes stepped out and retorted, "We're here for the memorial service of the Black Dragon, not for the party. How dare you say people from our class are poor? The Black Dragon is from our class." That's right. Do you know who the Black Dragon is? He is one of the 5 commanders of Saul. He is the guardian of Saul that protected our country. What do you have that can compare to the Black Dragon? The people of the first class instantly gained courage and spoke out one after another. The people in the second class were not willing to be overshadowed. Are you really bringing up a dead person to boast? I admit the Black Dragon was indeed very capable. However, is it confirmed that the Black Dragon was James? These are mere rumors that have not been officially confirmed. How dare you use my hero to boast? The Black Dragon is Saul's guardian, and I won't allow you to defile him. A pretty woman retorted. Just as the two classes argued, a shabby Volkswagen showed up. The Volkswagen did not attract too much attention. However, after seeing the figure that got out of the car, the whole crowd turned to look at it. Is the Thea from our class back then? Wow, it's Thea. The media rated her as the #1 beauty of Kensington. She really is gorgeous and has an extraordinary charisma. The first-class students gathered over. They greeted Thea with a smile. Thea also greeted them. Although she had not seen them for 10 years, Thea recognized a few people with certain traits. Meanwhile, James was completely ignored. James did not join the crowd of the second class and instead glanced at the 20 or so people from the first class not far from him. The faces of these people had changed, but he could still identify a few of them. He searched the crowd, looking for his previous friends. In the past, he had excellent academic performance and plenty of friends. His best friend's name was Zion Lloyd. In the crowd, James spotted Zion dressed in ordinary clothes that looked like a farmer's outfit. He walked over and wanted to say hello but turned back halfway. He forgot he was no longer the James from 10 years ago but the son-in-law of the Callahans. Hey, Thea, do you still remember me? I'm the chubby boy, Channing, that pursued you back then. Channing's eyes immediately lit up after seeing Thea. He walked over and introduced proudly, I was poor and fat in the past, but after 10 years of hard work, I've started my own company. I earn hundreds of millions a year. I've also lost weight, and most importantly, I am still single. Great, Thea nodded lightly and casually replied to him. Thea, a voice sounded. Thea heard the voice and turned to see a woman approaching her while holding on to a handsome man. Ads by Pub Future. Juliana. Thea walked over and greeted immediately. The woman was Juliana Jackaruso. The man she was holding on to was Key from the Xenoses in North Kensington. She had met them some time ago in North Kensington. Thea greeted them with a smile, but Juliana wore a distant expression, swinging her hand at Thea's face. Slap. A crisp sound resounded. A red slap mark instantly appeared on Thea's face. Thea was taken aback by the slap. What is the meaning of this, Juliana? You were ABTCH, Thea. Two members of the Xenoses were severely injured, and one was even disabled because of you. Juliana swung her hand again and cursed out. Key's expression was also gloomy. It's this Beecher's fault that Washington and Augustus were maimed. At first, Key thought that Thea's husband James was the Black Dragon. However, news spread that the Black Dragon was someone else, not her husband. It was a coincidence that the person Thea saved 10 years ago was also called James Caden. Since the Black Dragon was dead, Thea no longer had someone to back her up. Therefore, the two no longer treated Thea respectfully. This scene was witnessed by plenty of people. They were all puzzled and wondering what had happened. James came over just as Thea got slapped twice in a row. Immediately, he walked over furiously. Juliana swung her hand for the third time. James strode out, blocked the slap, and tightly gripped Juliana's wrist. Then, he raised his other hand and slapped her face. Slap. It was loud. Juliana's body turned from the force and spat out a mouthful of blood with a few teeth. James did not hold back because she was a woman. He raised his foot and kicked her. Juliana's body fell toward the ground instantly. How dare you hit my wife? Are you ignoring me like I don't exist? James glared at her. Juliana was stunned. She was kicked to the ground, and her black stockings were torn. There were even a few scratches on her body, and she could feel the burning pain from them. Her mouth hurt even more. She cried out in pain, "Kill him, babe." Key roared furiously, "Bodyguards. Kill him." He belonged to the Xenoses and was always accompanied by bodyguards when traveling. 4 burly men rushed over instantly. Seeing the scene, the surrounding crowd backed away in fear. The 4 bodyguards all weighed 90 to 150 kilograms and had arms thicker than an average person's waist. Many people were frightened when these bodyguards stepped forward with their bulging muscles. The students of the first class watched with excitement, while the second class simply avoided the scene. "Don't use violence, honey." Thea pulled James back, worried that he would be unable to control himself from beating them up and offending the Xenoses. "It would be troublesome if that were to happen." "I'll do as you say." James smiled at Thea. Channing's expression darkened as he watched their loving expressions. He had pursued Thea in the past. However, he had terrible academic results in high school, and his family was not rich. Thea would never have given him a chance. Now, he had established his own company and made good money. He was a boss with a net worth of $2 billion. In his opinion, only a successful person like himself was worthy of Thea. Seeing that Thea was in trouble, it was his chance to prove himself and seize the opportunity to win Thea over during this reunion party. He walked over with a smile. "Mr. Key, Thea is the woman I'm interested in, so give me some face and let this go." "Who the FCK are you?" Key swung his hand. Whoever touched his woman would have to pay a heavy price. Channing was embarrassed from getting slapped and only regained his senses after a few seconds. "Mr. Key, I am the founder of Shining Bright. Get lost." Ads by Pub Future. Key lifted his foot and kicked Channing. Many people were watching the scene. The former students of the first class suppressed their laughter as they watched the scene unfold before them. Channing thought he was somebody, but Key did not show him any mercy. Juliana had gotten up from the ground. Her stockings were torn, and her legs were scratched. Her face was red and swollen, and there were blood stains on her lips. She looked miserable and horrible. "Thea, you're over. Your useless husband is also over." "Juliana, I'm sorry. This is just a misunderstanding." "It's really a misunderstanding. Please just let it go, seeing that we had some past affection." Thea apologized promptly. "Affection? I don't have any affection for you," Juliana said coldly. "Key, you have to avenge me." She looked at Key with teary eyes. "Break his legs," Key ordered instantly. "Yes, Mr. Key." The 4 bodyguards glared at James. The fat on their faces bounced, and they clenched their fists, causing their joints to pop. Everyone thought that James was done for. "What's with the commotion?" A stern voice sounded. Everyone turned toward the voice and saw the beautiful Quincy in a red, sexy dress. "Quincy, Thea's useless husband hit me. Look what kind of people you invited to the party," Juliana complained immediately. Quincy glanced at James disdainfully. She demanded, "James, apologize to Juliana immediately." "I'm sorry." Thea hurriedly apologized to James. "I want him to kneel, and I want to break his legs. Otherwise, I won't let this go." Juliana raised her head furiously. "It's not that I don't want to give your face, Quincy. Look at me. My legs are scratched, my face is swollen, and I even lost a few teeth." Juliana turned toward Quincy. Blood spilled from her mouth when she spoke. She took out a tissue and kept wiping the blood on her lips. Quincy frowned. She never expected James to be so ruthless, even toward a woman. "What are you doing? Beat him up," Key ordered again. The bodyguards swung their fists at James. "Don't." Thea immediately shielded James behind her. The first fist was already swinging when she stood in front of James. She frowned and closed her eyes tightly. A few seconds passed, but she did not feel the fist hit her. She quickly opened her eyes. James had blocked the fist swung at them. James blocked one of Key's bodyguards and said, "I will let you off easy because of Thea. Get lost immediately, or else don't blame me for not holding back." "Sure. I want to see how you're not going to hold back. Beat him to death," Juliana roared. "You're still pretending to be somebody right now," thought Juliana. She had hated Thea since a long time ago. This BTCH had caused so much trouble for the Xenoses. Now, her husband even beat her. They had death wishes. The bodyguard retracted his fist and threw another punch at James' chest. His punch was powerful and imposing. It was even accompanied by a whistling sound in the wind. Even a cow would be knocked down by this blow. James did not dodge. Instead, he blocked the fist. Their hands collided. Crack. The sound of bones breaking resounded. Ah! Key's bodyguard groaned in pain. He retracted his hand, waving it in the air and jumping around. Everyone was dumbfounded. James quickly attacked and took down the remaining 3 bodyguards in a few moves. In an instant, the bodyguards were on the ground, screaming in pain. James glanced at Thea proudly. "Darling, I didn't embarrass you, right? I used to be from the military. How could ordinary people who had never encountered real martial arts be a match for me?" James thought that Thea would praise him. However, she wore a dissatisfied expression. She had reminded him not to fight them. "Do you think you're so good? Didn't I already tell you not to do it? How much trouble do you want to cause for Thea Callahan's?" James was stunned for a moment. Enemy. The Xenozers. James had never taken the Xenozers seriously. Ads by Pub Future. Quincy looked at his bodyguards that were knocked to the ground and pointed toward James furiously. "Trash. You're finished. Thea, the Callahans are finished." Quincy stood out to try to resolve the matter. "How about you guys give me some face and just let this one go?" Key growled. "Who do you think you are, Quincy? Your family has long been expelled from the Xenozers. Do you think you deserve my respect?" "Quincy, it's not that I don't want to give you face. It's just that Thea and James are abhorrent people. You should stay out of this, or else our friendship will also end here," said Juliana. Quincy frowned. She never expected so much to happen. "James, kneel and apologize to Key and Juliana," Quincy demanded. "Kneel and apologize. They're not worthy. I spared their lives because of Thea," said James. Those watching in the distance praised James. "This guy sure has some guts. He doesn't even care if it's the Xenozers. Aren't the rumors that Thea's husband is useless? How is he so strong? Right. He brought down those vicious bodyguards so easily. How is that possible for someone useless?" Those from the first class discussed James. "James, say a little less, would you?" Thea did not want to make things worse. She pulled James behind her and stepped forward. Bowing deeply, she apologized. "Mr. Key, Juliana, I'm sorry. Everything is our fault. I'm apologizing on his behalf. You can hit me if it helps dissipate your anger." "Fine. You were the one who suggested it, Thea. Don't blame me for disregarding our friendship in the past." Juliana's expression darkened, and she took out a sharp dagger from her bag. "I'll slash your face twice, and this matter will be over," she said coldly. Thea stepped back in fear. Quincy could not stand it any longer and attempted to dissuade her. "Juliana, don't go overboard." James stepped forward and said, "Come at me if you're mad. You can stab me twice in place of Thea." James thought about it and felt that he should not have made things complicated. He was not afraid of anything. However, the Callahans were unable to withstand another blow now. He stepped forward, looked at the dagger in Juliana's hand, and smiled lightly. "Twice, right. You can stab me anywhere. I hope that you won't cause any more trouble for Thea after you stab me twice." "All right, James. You were the one who agreed to do it. Don't blame me if you die." Juliana clenched the dagger and raised her hand, stabbing James in the chest. However, she felt like she had stabbed a hard stone as there was great resistance. Not only was she unable to penetrate James' skin, but she was even forced a few steps back. How? Juliana was dumbfounded. Those from the first class and second class who were watching were also shocked. Is he even human? How can a dagger not penetrate through him? James glanced at his pierced shirt and smiled. "One more. Go ahead." He was proficient in medicine and understood human anatomy very well. He had been practicing for 10 years. He formulated medicine for himself that made his cells denser during his practice. Thus, the epidermis of his skin was firmer. It was impossible for him to be injured with Juliana's strength. A powerful middle-aged man might be able to pierce through his body if he stabbed him with full force. The crowd looked at the scene in shock. Juliana was in disbelief and raised the dagger, stabbing it at James' body again. The results were the same. She could not pierce the dagger into James' skin with her strength. How? Why you are playing some dirty trick? What's hidden inside your clothes? Juliana roared. She could not believe it. She was holding a dagger. Immediately, she rushed over and wanted to pull off James' clothes. Hey, what are you doing? These people witnessed it. Why are you taking off my clothes in broad daylight? James stepped back and kept a certain distance from her. We already agreed on resolving this matter after you stabbed me twice. Now that you've stabbed me twice, this will be the end of it, said James. The onlookers glanced at James in disbelief. The scene was unbelievable. No, you cheated. Juliana did not want to let James and Thea off so easily. Helpless, James pulled up his shirt. On his chest, there were 2 red dots. Ads by Pub Future. These were marks caused by Juliana. Although it did not hurt him, it was enough to leave some marks on him. Look for yourself. How did I cheat? Isn't this where you stabbed? It's red, and there's even a small dent. It's just that your dagger isn't sharp enough. Many people stepped forward to see. There were indeed red marks and seemingly beads of blood oozing out as if a needle had pierced him. Quincy was also confused, but still stepped forward to dissuade the conflict. Juliana, you've already stabbed him twice, so we should let it go. We're all old classmates, so it's unnecessary to make things so awkward, said Quincy. Juliana was unwilling to give up so easily, but she had agreed to the conditions. It would make her look petty if she continued to pursue the matter. Let's go, babe. Juliana pulled Key and left. At this moment, Key's bodyguards had already stood up. Juliana glared at James, snorted, and left. After causing such a commotion, Juliana no longer wanted to stay for the party and simply left. Quincy was also troubled. The 3 of them used to be best friends, yet now they acted like arch-enemies. After the 2 left, many people gathered closer. Thea glanced at James and asked worriedly, "Are you alright?" "Of course. Why would I not be alright?" James said with a big smile. James had tidied up his clothes. Thea stared at him and asked suspiciously, "Are you even human? How could you not be hurt by a dagger?" James suddenly felt awkward. Who says such things about their husband? James laughed awkwardly and explained, "Actually, my clothes are made of special material and are impenetrable by knives. Most daggers aren't able to pierce through it." James made up an excuse. The onlookers suddenly realized why he was so confident. It was because his clothes material was special. "All right, everyone should head inside." Quincy greeted and invited everyone into the villa. In an instant, the crowd dispersed and entered the Dragon Fountain Villa. Channing caught up with Thea and said with a smile, "Are you okay, Thea? The Xenoses get on my nerves. They're incapable and can only rely on their family background to show off and suppress others. I'm different from them. I worked hard and achieved success on my own efforts." He looked at Quincy while speaking. Quincy had already contacted him in advance, saying she wanted to introduce him to Thea. "Thea, Channing is a decent man. He is business savvy and started from scratch. He now has his own company and makes at least hundreds of millions annually," said Quincy. Quincy wanted to be the matchmaker for Thea and Channing. Thea was her best friend and did not want her to stay with useless trash like James. Thea immediately understood Quincy's intentions and halted her steps. "Quincy, I already have a husband and I'm not planning to divorce him. You should stop this, or else I'm going to be mad," said Thea. Quincy was at her wit's end. The crowd of people entered the Dragon Fountain Villa. The first class and second class gathered in. their respective groups. The groups began to chatter. Over time, more people showed up. Almost everyone from both classes had arrived slightly after 6 in the evening. Suddenly, a group of people approached the villa. The person in the lead was a handsome man dressed in white casual clothing. He had fair skin and a head of platinum hair. There were several bodyguards following closely behind him. Whoa, it's really Kian. It's the celebrity, Kian. Our class monitor show is capable. She even managed to invite the popular star, Kian. Seeing Kian approach, the groups of people went crazy and quickly surrounded him, asking for autographs. Kian greeted everyone with a smile. He had been depressed during this period. Ads by Pub Future. He was blacklisted by the transgenerational group and could not get any commercials, movies, or dramas. His expenses were huge in the past. He would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. His source of income had been cut off after he got blacklisted. Thus, he could only rely on some small performances to earn a few bucks. He would never have come if Quincy had not offered him $2 million. Coming to sing at this party was a drop in his value. He thought about going to the transgenerational group to apologize to the behind-the-scenes boss. However, he could not even get through the main entrance of Transgeneration Tower. During this time, he had been going around looking for information about the boss behind the transgenerational group, but it was to no avail. James, who was sitting on a sofa in the corner, smirked as he watched the group of people surrounding Kian. Isn't this the celebrity who tried to make a scandal and create hype at Transgenerational Tower some time ago? It was because of that incident that he blacklisted this man called Kian. James watched even Thea rush toward Kian, fangirling and asking him for an autograph and picture. James smiled but did not say anything. After greeting everyone, Kian went to a room on the villa's second floor to rest. He was here to simply sing a few songs during dinner. Kian's appearance brought the reunion party's atmosphere to a climax. The two classes gathered respectively in their groups and chatted. James became the topic of everyone's discussion. Thea was gorgeous, and James was an ordinary man. The two of them together were bound to cause gossip, especially because James was a live-in son-in-law. During the party, Channing kept pestering Thea. He constantly boasted about how hard he worked and the hardships he went through over the years to get to where he was today. He even mentioned that he wanted to find someone to spend the rest of his life with now that he was old. Many bachelorettes tried to earn his attention, but Channing only had eyes for Thea and did not bat an eye at the other women. Quincy tried to speak for Channing too. However, Thea ignored them. James sat alone in the corner, took out his phone, and played Plants vs. Zombies. He was happy to be left alone to play his game. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the distance. A man dressed in ordinary clothing was beaten up and rushed into the hall with a few people chasing after him, waving their hands and legs at him. This scene caught the attention of the crowd. Those from the first class noticed Zion being beaten up and wanted to step forward to help him. However, one person muttered, "Don't act recklessly. That guy after him is from the second class. His name is Lon Dixon. There are rumors that he is involved in the underworld and joined a certain criminal boss gang." Zion must have offended him. When the people of the first class heard it was someone involved in an underworld gang, they immediately backed down. Please, stop. Lon, I was at fault. I'm sorry. Please spare me." Zion was knocked to the ground. He covered his head and begged for mercy. James raised his head and frowned after seeing the scene. He immediately stood up and walked toward the hall. "Stop it. What are you doing?" James shouted. Zion from the first class had somehow offended Lon from the second class. Several of Lon's subordinates kicked him to the ground and beat him. Everyone simply stood by to watch, and no one cared to interfere. James shouted and walked over to them. Finally, Lon's subordinates stopped. Zion quickly got up from the ground. He was covered in footprints, and his whole face was bruised, looking very pathetic. He quickly hid behind James. Lon wrapped his hand around a sexy woman and glanced at James. What? Are you going to be a busybody? James glanced at Zion behind him and asked, what happened? Zion whispered, I went to the washroom and accidentally bumped into his woman when I came out. I've already apologized, but Seeing Lon's vicious gaze, Zion did not dare to say more. The woman in his arms glanced at Zion disdainfully and spat at him. Broke SS, you dirtied my clothes. Do you have any idea how much my dress costs? It was $30,000. You can't even make that much money in a year. It's a light punishment to have you beaten up. You'll have to compensate the money for it. Lon growled, did you hear her? Pay up, or else I break your legs. Zion trembled in fear. Ads by Pub Future. The commotion attracted the attention of Quincy and the others. Quincy and a few people walked over. Lon, are you bullying someone again? Quincy's expression darkened, and she asked coldly. Quincy, what do you mean? How is this considered bullying? Lon said with a smile as he scanned Quincy up and down. He whistled and had an unfazed expression. Quincy knew Lon's character very well. In the past, he often bullied other students in school. I'm warning you, you better not cause any trouble. Otherwise, don't blame me for not going easy on you. Besides, this is a class reunion. Why did you bring irrelevant people here? Get out if you're not here for the reunion party. Quincy did not save Lon any face. You're right, Quincy. Forget it, then. I won't hold this kid accountable anymore. Since Quincy personally came forward to resolve the matter, Lon did not pursue it any further. He wrapped his arms around the sexy woman and walked toward a lounge area nearby while whistling. Stop right there, James shouted. Lon stopped and turned to James with a playful expression. Thea quickly walked over and pulled James. Lon is letting it go, so why are you causing more trouble? Thea whispered. How is he not being held accountable for beating up someone as he pleases? James said coldly. It was none of his business. However, Zion was his best friend in school, and they could talk about everything back then. Although Zion was from a relatively low-income family, it did not prevent James from becoming good friends with him. How could he stand by idly when his best friend got beaten up? Lon smiled playfully and asked, how would you like to hold me accountable, trash? James said indifferently, I'll pay for the clothes he dirtied, and I'll go to beat you up just like you beat him. James, why are you causing trouble? It's none of your business. Go away. Quincy frowned. Forget it, honey. Let's just let it go. Thea pulled James back again. Both classes stood aside and watched the commotion. Everyone was aware of Lon's character. He used to be a school bully in the past. After graduating, he began to mingle with people from the underworld and earned himself some influence. It's all right. I'm fine. Zion also gently tugged James and whispered. Haha. Lon laughed out loud. No one dared to speak to him in such a way after getting involved with gangsters, yet some trash from the Callahans was yelling at him right now. My girlfriend's dress is worth $30,000. Plus, he touched her. $30,000 won't be enough to compensate. I didn't. Zion refuted. James waved his hand and motioned Zion not to speak. He glanced at Lon, who was smiling mockingly, and said coldly, count it however you please. Be it 30,000, 300,000, or 3 million. You be the judge. However, I will return the punches and kicks you threw at him. Lon was stunned by James' words. He would have mistaken James for some influential figure if he had been unaware of his identity. After being slightly taken aback, Lon recollected himself. He knew James was simply the son-in-law of the Callahans. He was a piece of trash. Although the Callahans had some money, that was already in the past. The Callahans were caught up in some trouble and owed a lot of money. They were on the verge of bankruptcy. After thinking about it, Lon squinted his eyes at James. You said $3 million. Then, pay my girlfriend $3 million, and I'll take a few punches from you. Babe. The sexily dressed woman immediately pulled Lon. She had witnessed James' strength at the villa's entrance. Key's bodyguards were taken down in an instant. She was worried that Lon would not be able to withstand a few punches from James. Lon waved his hand and said, "It's all right. This brat is merely the son-in-law of the Callahans. He's useless. The Callahans are in debt, and they don't have money at all. Even if they had money, they would never hand it to this piece of trash to boast around." Lon had already thought it through. James did not know anyone at this party. Thus, no one paid attention to him. James wanted to seek an opportunity to pretend to be bold so that he could attract the crowd's attention. Quincy gave up interfering after things had ended up like this. Lon was not a good person anyway. Ads by Pub Future. At the same time, she also despised James. "Thea, let's leave them alone. We should go over there and watch." Quincy pulled Thea and left. But Thea was reluctant. She knew James' skills, and Lon would be maimed if he took a few hits. She did not want James to cause trouble again. Before she could finish speaking, Quincy had forcibly pulled her away. Quincy refused to interfere, and the others also did not bother. They all simply spectated. Some people even prepared snacks and observed enthusiastically. 3 million. All right. What's your account number? I'll transfer the money right now. James smiled as he looked at the proud Lon. Does this brat really have $3 million? Thought Lon. He scanned James from head to toe and could not believe he would have $3 million. After thinking for a while, he gave him an account number. James took out his phone and immediately transferred $3 million to Lon's account. Soon, Lon received a bank notification. He glanced at the notification and was delighted. Haha, 3 million. This idiot really transferred $3 million to me. Lon jumped up in excitement. The people watching also glanced at James in astonishment. He really transferred $3 million. Is he stupid? He just gave Lon $3 million for nothing. Meanwhile, James turned to Zion, who was beaten black and blue. 1, 2, 3. He counted the footprints and wounds throughout Zion's body and face. 38, 39, 40. James stopped counting at 40 and turned to Lon, who was still immersed in joy. He smiled. I'll count it as 40. Will you bear it, or will your subordinates who hit him bear it? Lon pushed forward a subordinate immediately and said, Go, get punched a few times, and I'll give you $200,000 for it. The subordinate was thrilled to hear he would get $200,000 and shouted, Thank you, boss. James walked over with a sullen expression. His body leaped to a height of more than 1 meter and kicked the subordinate's chest. Crack. The subordinate's chest bones were immediately fractured. His body flew out like a ball for over 2 meters, slamming into the ground. His face distorted from the pain, and he groaned. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief as they watched it happen. Lon's subordinate was sent flying with a kick. The onlookers could not feel how strong his kick was. They only saw the subordinate sent flying more than 2 meters and slamming into the ground, letting out painful groans. James approached with his leather shoes. Clomp, clomp, clomp. As he stepped forward, his shoes threaded the floor. Lon subconsciously took a few steps backward in fear. It was terrifying. He would have been suffering in pain if that kick had hit him. You didn't even last one kick. James approached the subordinate and looked down at him condescendingly. Under the countless gazes, James raised his foot and kicked him again. The man rolled out like a ball, knocking over tables and chairs in the hall. Ah! Stop it! Stop it! The subordinate was horrified. The previous kicks had fractured several bones on his body, and he was in unbearable pain. He would die if he took another blow. James glared at Lon and said indifferently, It's only been 2 hits. There are still 38 more. Who is going to take it? Lon swallowed his saliva. Ads by Pub Future. This trash who was rumored to be useless was terrifying. Why you go? Lon pushed another of his subordinates out. He refused to give up the $3 million. The subordinate stepped forward timidly. Be brat, I'm not afraid of you, the subordinate said while shivering. Despite his tough words, his whole body trembled in fear. James walked over, reached out to grab the subordinate's arm, and twisted it downward. Ah! The subordinate's face distorted, and he groaned in pain. James swung his fist and punched it into the subordinate's body. The subordinate was sent flying several meters away and slammed into a table, shattering it instantly. He was on the ground and did not have the strength to get up. All he did was groan in pain. James glared at Lon again. Quincy, who was nearby, was slightly surprised. I didn't expect James to have such strength. Quincy glanced at Thea and said. Thea nodded. James used to be a military soldier and had terrifying strength. She witnessed James bring down dozens of people within a few minutes. Quincy, go and stop them. It'll be bad if they continue fighting. Quincy crossed her arms and replied with a smile, Lon isn't a good person anyway. Let James teach him a lesson. I'm curious to see what capabilities your useless husband has and how he will resolve this. For some reason, Quincy became curious about Thea's husband, James. Thea said dissatisfiedly, my husband isn't useless. He just likes to keep a low profile. My husband has incredible medical skills and is proficient in martial arts. Ha! Sounds like the Black Dragon. Quincy laughed. Ha! Thea frowned. Since Quincy mentioned the Black Dragon, Thea thought about it, and it sounded reasonable. It was rumored that the Black Dragon had unparalleled strength and medical skills. The Black Dragon was also called James Caden. Not only was her husband good in medicine, but he also had terrifying strength. For a moment, Thea also thought about the possibility that her husband was the Black Dragon, James. A few thoughts flashed across her mind. She had met the Black Dragon, who was also the owner of Majestic Corporation, James, and he was a different person from her husband. The Black Dragon was dead in Mount Thunder in the Southern Plains Dragon Fountain Villa lobby. James slowly walked toward Lon. You still have 2 more subordinates. I only made a few moves. I don't think there are enough people to bear the rest. Lon trembled as he glanced at his subordinates that had been beaten and were groaning in pain. This was not going to be easy money for him. James, don't cross the line. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my gang leader is? My boss is Sete Kane. You are going to die if you offend Sete. Lon began to threaten James.